You never want to violate a Scorpio's trust. It's just over at that point. They have this very, very strong emotional integrity and they expect that of others. And if it's not actualized, then forget it. They really want to get underneath of things. They want to get to the bottom. They are not interested in anything surface level. Hello, my Scorpio friends. Welcome to Promethea Astrology. My name is Aleena, and today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Scorpio Sun, Moon, and Rising, and what Scorpio means in general. Know that this is a part of a series that I'm doing on the Zodiac. I've already talked about the fixed signs. Scorpio is fixed water. I have a video on the water signs and also the planet Mars, which is the planetary ruler of Scorpio. I also have a video on gender. Scorpio is a feminine zodiac sign, and I do recommend that you watch these if you want to really understand the nature of Scorpio deeply and completely. The way that we avoid astrology that sounds like vague stereotypes and generalizations is by getting to the root, the core quality of what each of these zodiac signs mean. And so you'll want to be able to connect the delineations that we have for the sign Scorpio to these core qualities in order to avoid that type of general surface level astrology that can be just based on stereotypes from people's collective experiences rather than connecting to the tradition. So, Scorpio. Scorpio I think of as the archetype of the witch, or it could also be the archetype of the sniper. It is ruled by the planet Mars, and I do think that this is a good place to start with understanding Scorpio and any zodiac sign is by the planetary ruler, because each zodiac sign is essentially a manifestation of the planetary ruler's core energy. So Mars is the archetype of the warrior. Mars is our planet of aggression, violence, anger, separation, splitting, piercing, all of that type of stuff. Scorpio is the fixed water version of Mars, and Aries is the other sign ruled by Mars, which is the cardinal fire version of Mars. And so Aries is much more of a stereotype you might think of with Mars. Aries is really that core warrior, the hero. Cardinal fire you can think of as like a gun shooting fire forward, very directional, in your face, loud, aggressive type of stuff. But Scorpio is the water, the fixed water version of Mars. And water is the element associated with the emotions, healing, mysticism, the intuition, merging, sort of lacking boundaries sometimes. But when you take water and you make it fixed, then you can imagine like an iceberg, which goes very deep. Water is also associated with depth in general. Icebergs also can be quite dangerous, as can the sign Scorpio. So whereas Aries is kind of like this frontline soldier warrior type of energy, Scorpio is more of like the sniper. And it has this energy of, you can also think of the scorpion. Of course, Scorpio is the scorpion as its symbol. So this is that little prick a scorpion strikes decisively. You can think of Scorpio as like having this ability, this fixed nature to sit still and wait patiently for the exact right moment to strike. The type of warrior that Scorpio is not one that will just get in your face and take the first punch and take you out. Scorpio is more of this energy of, if you have wronged me, I will never forget it, and you will live to regret it. I will be relentless in my pursuit of seeking revenge over you. It might not be today, and it might not be loud, it might not be obvious, you might not know it was me, but I will be avenged. That's more of the Scorpio energy. So there's this intensity and this patience as the fixed water sign. So with it being water again too, Scorpio can be a little bit more oriented towards the emotions, and sometimes rather than physical fighting, although sometimes Scorpios may be into martial arts or things like that, it can be a little bit more emotional, like maybe holding grudges or really kind of holding on to feelings. That fixed water. Fixed is holding, integrity, solid stability, but with the feelings. And particularly, you never want to violate a Scorpio's trust. It's just over at that point. And Scorpio will be a vault. If Scorpio is ever entrusted with a secret, it is safe for life. Fixed signs are also kind of associated with integrity. And so they have this very, very strong emotional integrity, and they expect that of others. And if it's not actualized, then forget it. And as a sign associated with water, again, also has this quality of mysticism. And that's why sometimes Scorpio can look more like the archetype of the witch, kind of using these emotional healing, kind of otherworldly spiritual things, but to their own end, right? A witch is not generally associated with being necessarily good. You can use these powers for any purpose you might like. And so this is the nature of Scorpio. You could also think about the Scorpio archetype as like a scorpion protecting a lone pool of water in a vast desert or something like that. It's this intensity. Scorpio is very intense, very deep. And they tend to be kind of obsessive about things that they get into. They can really go down rabbit holes and just hyper focus and just get all the way to the bottom. Sometimes they can be a little bit more into conspiracy theories even. And they really want to get underneath of things. They want to get to the bottom. They are not interested in anything surface level. They want to know what is the truth, what is the root of the matter. And they're interested in going into those deep, dark places that a lot of people don't want to go. They're interested in those ideas that might shake up your whole psychological safety, you know, like you thought you were safe, maybe we're not. They're very interested and brave when it comes to looking into ideas like that and just figuring out what the root core is. And this can also happen in more of an emotional context where Scorpio might like to go really, really deep with their lovers and like get psychological. Like, let me get to the root of your core wounding. Let me figure out the center of who you are and let us have a soul bond. And sometimes this can even be a little bit obsessive in an unhealthy way. Sometimes it could be kind of hyper obsessed with people, fixating, maybe not letting go sometimes as well can be a struggle. And so sometimes there's also this darkness that can be associated with Scorpio. Scorpio can be a little bit pessimistic, kind of really more oriented towards the deep, dark aspects of life. In modern astrology, Pluto has been assigned to rule Scorpio, which is our planet of intensity, the underworld, Hades, sex, everything that is taboo and deep and mysterious. Scorpio also rules the genitals. It's the body part associated with Scorpio. So oftentimes sex can be really important. Also for the Mars signs, Mars is kind of associated with sex in a way, this penetrating energy. And so with Scorpio though, it can sometimes look like people who are kind of hypersexual or just really like to be sexy and look good and are not afraid to express their sexual nature. But it can also look like people who can be extremely protective around their sexuality and very secretive. Scorpio is also sort of associated with secrets and being hidden. Scorpio's in the shadows, you know? So either way, sex can be pretty important, whether it's something that is prominently displayed or something that you protect viscerally and maybe never kind of give away or never display. But it usually can go in one of those two sort of extremes for Scorpio. Scorpio is also the middle of fall. So this is when, you know, we had our beautiful Libra season, the leaves changed, and now we're getting into Halloween. It's getting colder. It's getting spooky. The sun's not coming back. It's getting darker. So this is the Scorpio energy. Scorpio can also be often interested in kind of magic and occult things, like any kind of wisdom tradition or way of knowing that's kind of like a little bit beneath the surface or obscure, even a little controversial, can sometimes be something that Scorpio's into. Things like magic, astrology, occult ways of knowing. And so the strengths of Scorpio are really like strategy. They can really be patient and wait and just go deep. Like they are relentless. The level of commitment, intensity, focus, drive, strategy, foresight, this is all extremely strong for Scorpio. They will get to the bottom of it and they will never give up. The challenges for Scorpio can be sort of relaxing, enjoying the simple pleasures of life. They can tend towards this kind of dark, pessimistic energy as well, which is sometimes not helpful for them. You know, it can be good to also enjoy simple pleasures, to just be on the light side of things. Sometimes is very healthy to have that balance. Sometimes Scorpio can be a little out of balance in the way that they obsess, and also like holding grudges can be kind of a challenge for Scorpio, and just letting things go. Scorpio really holds on to things. So lovers of Scorpios might sometimes struggle with that intensity. And then Scorpio Sun, to get into the Sun, Moon, and Rising, Scorpio Sun is going to have this especially intellectual drive towards deep knowledge and understanding. This will be also the way people see you, the light you shine into the world, how you're generally known more broadly. This is your reputation, how people see you, the sun. Also the ego, the persona. So you have that more kind of maybe witchy or kind of like sniper type intensity and interest in going into these deep, dark ideas, especially as the sun is the mind, the mental stuff. You enjoy thinking really deeply, maybe even into psychology or depth psychology, dream interpretation, things like that for a Scorpio sun potentially. It can also be qualities inherited from the father. So this might be someone who had a father who was quite intense or deep or into kind of occult, obscure things like that. And then for a Scorpio moon, this will be especially emotional intensity, the deep, deep, intense feelings. And boy, will they feel it. So Scorpio moon, the moon has to do with the emotions, the subconscious, also qualities inherited from the mother. So you could have a mother who was quite intense, maybe overbearing or obsessive sometimes, hyper-fixated, hyper-focused on you, maybe. And also could be someone who is in their private life has more of this intensity. Maybe it's not something that you really showcase or that many people would recognize about you, especially if you were born during the day. Scorpio moon might be more likely to display that depth of intensity in private settings. That's how the moon kind of works. And just those really deep feelings might be especially prone to grudges or holding on emotionally and getting stuck, hyperfixated on people or something like that. Strong intuition for a Scorpio moon. A deep well of emotion that might be very hidden, might be very private. You might guard it deeply. You might not let anyone in to the depths of your emotions and how deep they truly are. Scorpio, again, is very private, can be, and regarding the emotions for a Scorpio moon especially. A Scorpio sun might be more likely to hide the emotional intensity of their thoughts and ideas and how kind of out there they are, potentially, or not. Sometimes they like to be open about the things like talk to me about this crazy theory. Did you know about this? Did you know this could be happening right now? That type of thing. And then for Scorpio rising, this is going to be the totality of who you are, mind, body, and soul. You are the witch, you are the sniper, and everything that I've said about the sun and the moon and Scorpio generally, all of that will apply to you. So Scorpio rising tends to be a little bit pessimistic, have that intensity, go really deep, get to the bottom of things, not interested in anything surface level, all of that stuff that I talked about. And it will be extremely important for you as a Scorpio rising to look at your Mars sign. So this is going to be the ruler of your ascendant, which tells us about the type of Scorpio you are and what the general kind of disposition you have is, your mind, body, and soul, what your purpose and life direction is towards. This Mars sign is going to be the essence of who you are, in a sense, as Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. So wherever Mars was when you were born, whatever zodiac sign he is in, that will tell us the type of Scorpio you are. For instance, if you have a Libra Mars, then you're going to be potentially have a really deep artistic sensibility, and maybe you will actualize these deep, intense things that you have through some kind of artistic manner or your fashion. Or maybe if you have a Capricorn Mars, then you might be driven to actualize things in a business or to really bring structure to the world of your ideas and have some kind of deep actualized structure building something to last with regard to whatever the obsessions you have are and your ideas. So it will depend, and you're going to want to take a really deep dive into whatever your Mars sign is and also look at the house placement, and that will tell us the general life direction and purpose that you have, potentially the house topics there, and if there's any planets nearby Mars for you, then that will tell us much more about who you are and what you're meant to do and your purpose. So if you wanted to talk to me about that, to really get to the bottom of who you are, I would love nothing more than to talk to you about your astrology. You can book a consultation with me on my website, linked below, promethea.design/astrology. You could also leave me a comment to let me know if you have any questions, if you resonated or didn't, or if there's anything that I left out that you think I should add, or you might share this video if you got any value out of it, like or subscribe. That really helps me to grow. And do check out those other videos that I have about Mars, the fixed signs, the water signs, and gender if you want to really dig in nice and deep to get to the bottom of what Scorpio means in this ancient original sense. Thank you so much for being here. Be well.